everybody. This week we are going on a trip to Israel. And that reminded me of when I was in Israel. I went to a very special place which was one of my favorite in the whole of Israel. It was called the Dead Sea. It was a place where there was a lot of water and a lot of salt. And it looked like that. Something very special happens when you go in. I walked into the water and I started swimming so I didn't sink. And I started moving my arms and something special happened. I started floating at the top of the water. You don't sink in the Dead Sea, you float because there's a lot of salt in the water. So that brought to my mind that let's do an experiment with salt and see what happens when we put salt with water. So the items you are going to need for my experiment are water, 2 cups, a food coloring of your choice. I chose blue for the water, salt, and just a spoon to mix it up. I am going to put water in this cup, and I am going to put water in that cup, just like that. Then I'm going to take my salt, and I'm going to put salt in 1 cup. Nice amount of salt. And I'm going to mix it up with a spoon, just a little. This cup has salt, like the sea, and this cup has no salt. Then I'm going to put in blue coloring. What do you think is going to happen when I put the blue coloring in? If I put it in the water over here, do you think it will sink or float? If I put it in the water with the salt, do you think it will sink or float? Let's try it and see what happens. First, I'm going to put it in the water with no salt. Let's see, the water's going to turn blue. And now, I'm going to put it in the water with salt. Let's see what happens. Move them closer together. Are you watching? What are we seeing? I am seeing that this water is turning blue. I am seeing that this water is not turning blue, and there's just a little bit of blue on top. Let's wait a little bit. It looks like the blue food coloring mixed in with the water and turned the water blue. It looks like the water with the salt did not mix in. It looks like the blue is floating on top. That reminds me just about how my body floated in the salty water of the Dead Sea. I did not sink down. I floated on top. So salt, it looks like the salt water is very, very thick and makes a big layer and lets us float on top. And this has nothing to make us float on top. It is very, very thin and it mixed in. I did it with another color so that you could see. I did it with red. This water had, what do you think? If you said no salt, you are correct. It turned red. And this water had, if you said this water had salt that made it dense, it floated on top. This is something you can try at home. You can also use little items to see if things sink or float. Maybe you could use a paper clip or a pom-pom or a little bead or a seed, any little items to see if they sink or float. Have a good day, and I'll see you in Israel.